D-Shout F100. About to go ahead and get this interview in. Come on.
Trying to be N-I-G-A. Yeah, girl, I'm feeling like Tupac. I let her play with the bag. I let her count up the cash. Wait till she hop in the jag, grip the stash, damn she bad. She fell in love with the money. We fell in love with the gulag.
And as promised, we have F100 recording artist in the building, D. Shaw. So thanks so much to everybody who is checking in, for everybody who liked and shared the post. I really appreciate you guys and your support as I press forward through this and continue to just keep putting things together. So like I said, I'm really, really excited, and as promised, I do think that you will have a lot of wonderful things in store. Not only are we going to be playing his new single, Play With The Bag, later in the show, we'll also be this is our second time.
Second time, yeah.
Yeah, this is our second time being together, and the very first time it was very powerful. So we always have a very powerful and very awesome conversation. So you are in store for a treat. We have a treat in store for you. I'm sorry, I'm really excited right now. So I'm gonna mail it out in just a second. But anyway, like I said, we're gonna be getting right into it. I just wanted to check in, let everybody know that we are here, and that we'll be right back in just a moment. Keep it light. We have F100 music group recording artist D. Shaw in the building.
What's up? What's up?
It's very good to have you here again. You look great.
Yeah, thank you. It's a blessing to be here.
Yes, indeed.
Most definitely. It's been a while.
Right. So we're not able to run you out of Dallas, I see.
No, this is second home.
That's awesome.
Second home. I'm gonna be here.
That's what's up.
I'm gonna be here.
So how's everything been going as far as the label is? It's progressing in Dallas. How do you feel about even being here with it?
Man, it's here because I'm here.
Right on.
But like I say, we make moves where we got to make them at. And like I say, it's been a lot of progression. Steady working, making relationships,
yes.
Steady growing, steady expanding, and steady growing the brand.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned making relationships. Making relationships is really important.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you want to make sure that you're remembered in a good way. Because
Oh, yeah.
I know that what I've learned kicking around in the entertainment world, even though it's small, but it's big, and you realize that you kind of start crossing over the same people.
Oh yeah, like they say, don't burn the bridge you come across on.
Yeah, because you just never know
when you have to
who
go
you
back.
might. Yeah, you just never know. And even I actually, my first trying to just get my feet wet in the whole little entertainment world. Of course, I must have looked green as a leaf because I actually got scammed on early.
Oh, yeah.
Years ago, this guy. But just to let you know how small it is, another promotions company that I was working for, they actually, had me do like some catering for them. Mm-hmm. And with them having me do some catering for them, they ended up, I mentioned it to the guy. Well, God worked it out right away because he ended up crossing paths with the guy. The guy was trying to do business with him. And he was just like, we're not going to be able to do business with you. And he was like, why? He was like, well, because you did a friend of mine really wrong. Well, it was so crazy because I believed God when my money was coming back to me. It's kind of one of those things where you just kind of throw your hands up and say, God, I know that you have this.
Don't worry about it.
I don't know how you're going to do it, but I just know you are going to do it. And out of the blue, this guy calls me and he's trying to give me my money back because he got a lot more money that he about to lose not working with these other guys.
Exactly.
So that'll just, really, really show you how things will work out for the good. Mm-hmm. I was reading your biography last night. Mm-hmm. Very interesting because when we talked before, we were kind of focusing on your artist, not necessarily you. Mm-hmm. And you graciously fell back in that situation, just promising me that this day would come.
Oh, yeah.
But I did read something that I had never read before. And so you spoke about, your accident. Mm-hmm. Well, before even the accident, you said that you went out to California.
Oh, yeah.
And when you went out to California, you experienced extreme disappointment.
Yeah.
But you didn't elaborate on what the disappointment was. What is...
Well, back in those days, I was very young, right out of high school, and from a small town, Bastrop, Louisiana, to L.A. I was in a group at the time,
Okay.
And we had management and the whole management thing, and we was out there, we was doing our thing, recording, meeting celebrities and going to the clubs, and what you think it is. We was in L.A.,
Right on.
And we were young, and contractual wise, it wasn't right, so at the time, looking back on it, they was trying to actually split the group. They wanted you know, to send some other guys back and want to do some things with me, you know. But at the time, you know, I felt like we came as a group, we'll leave as one, you know, and so we left and came back, just dropped the whole thing, you know. They didn't want us to leave, you know, and so went back to Louisiana, and had to try to figure out, hey, how we gonna do this thing, you know. And over time, it just evolved to what it is, you know. The dedication of the other guys in the group, you know, life experiences, you know, life goes on, and they, you know, have families and different things go on. But with me, it never died.
Right.
So I just kept it moving, and so I came to Dallas. I ended up in Dallas because, to me at the time, it was the closest thing to LA.
Right.
You know, I came out here. My brother was going to school out here, and I saw buildings. It looked the closest thing to LA, and I said, hey, at the time, I said, I don't really know Dallas for music, but I have to have a better chance at what I'm doing here than where I'm at.
Right.
So that's how I ended up here, and you know, just I was by myself at that point, not a group, and I just kept doing my thing, you know, and it got to the point where after years and years of growing in the craft and grinding and meeting people out here, because it felt like I went from a somebody to nobody don't know you out here. You know, they don't respect your craft. They don't know what you've done. They don't know your grind. So I just started doing my thing and recording, and believe it or not, just doing your thing, you run into people, and God put people in your path that you're gonna meet, and people I met way back then, I still have relationships with today. You know, and started doing my thing, and I had started getting some momentum. You know, at one point, you know, music was getting played on a couple radio stations. I was doing a lot of performing, you know, Arkansas, Louisiana. Had started doing some things here in Dallas. And that's when it felt like, you know, like you're climbing up a ladder.
Right.
And you know, they say somebody can pull you down. Well, I feel like, you know, somebody kicked the whole ladder down and I fell, because that's when the accident happened. And I was faced with that, you know. So, you know, through all that, I never let it die. I still kept the music thing, you know, going, because it's part of me. It's in my soul, you know. So that's when you know, I ran across Joe. Right. You know, just happenstance. I saw talent in him. I believed in him, and when I work on something or dedicate myself to something, I treat it just like it's me. That's right. You know, and so that's what I done, and I was still recovering, you know, in my convalescence, you know, and I say, well, hey, I feel like physically, you know, right now it's not the time, you know, but if I can help him, I will, and that's what I did, and we did a lot of good things together, you know, I can't take anything from those times and experiences. Right. Yeah.
Well, you said something interesting when you were talking, and you said, you know, basically what it is that you're doing. Whenever we do something, we're really doing it for ourselves. Yeah. We're blessed by God with the opportunity to be able to do it for someone else. Mm-hmm. But what I've learned is that He really, you can ask for something, and you can be believing God for something, and God, I think this is the reason why a lot of people get frustrated, because they kind of got this Santa Claus mentality when it comes to receiving things from God. And I have learned that God will test your ability to be able to handle, or how stable you are and able to handle what it is that you're asking Him for, by putting something in front of you right at the time. Like, we think it's going to be an open door, and He says, no, it's actually going to be a closed door. I'm just going to see how you're going to act on the other side of this closed door, because how you acting right now is going to show how you're going to be able to handle where you're going. Or if somebody comes to ask you for something, it's usually something on a smaller scale of what you're going to need.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that you know, you asked me about, you know, those days way back then. You know, it was things and experiences that happened way back then. You know, I was around legends, you know, at a young age, 17, 18. You know, I was around Temptations, and I used to pick up the phone, and it's Little Richard. You know, Little Richard, you know, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, his goddaughter was our manager. You know, so you know, we was in all the clubs and stuff in LA with all the different celebrities and people you see on TV, and we were in the green rooms, and I mean, even with people like Tyrese. You know, way back in the beginning, before he was who we know is Tyrese.
Right.
You know, I go way back then. You know, so the key thing to it all is I can put it in one word: is faith.
That's right.
You know, a lot of people say, well, hey, man, you know, after a certain amount of time, you know, you gotta give this up, or you gotta move along, you know, in life, you know, give up on it, you know. Man, you was paralyzed at one point. You was paralyzed from the neck down at one point, you know. So you need to give that up, you know.
Right.
But the key word is faith.
That's right.
He told me what he wanted from me, and I done that, and I'm just sitting in the roller coaster, and he got control. I'm just riding.
That's right.
You know, but it's been a fun and interesting ride because, like I said, when we was moving with Joe, a lot of people don't know. At one point, you know, we had accomplished being on 14 different radio stations across the country, touching 11 different states. You know, we had meetings, you know, with major labels, you know, not you know, I mean, the biggest as they come, you know.
Right.
A lot of good things was done, and a lot of good relationships were forged, you know. But you know, like I say, I feel like a lot of times people feel like the talent is what make moves.
That's right.
But,
and I've said this over and over again.
Yeah.
It takes more than talent.
Yeah.
Your talent can take you places where your character won't sustain you. You know, you think about even in athletics, you know, I follow sports as well, and it's interesting how sports and the way that it lines up and plays out relates so closely to everyday life.
Yeah.
That's just how amazing God is. He make everything so easy. It's like if you just pay attention to your environment, everything around you is like the answers to the questions in the test. You just got to pay attention. And it's interesting because in football, you got players that get, because of how they've conducted themselves. A person that comes to mind is Peyton Manning. You know, Peyton Manning sat out an entire season, his last season with the Colts, right before he went out to Denver. And when we went out to Denver in his first season, everybody was fully aware of the health conditions that Peyton was suffering. He was risking it, and one wrong hit, you know, could have not only possibly taken him out of the game for life, but also taking him off of his feet for life. You know, because when you get to dealing with, and I know I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know, but you get to dealing with all that spinal cord and the nerve system and all that kinds of stuff, you know, one wrong move. But it was interesting how Peyton was able to go 2 more seasons and then finish his career with a Super Bowl. Not because he was necessarily physically put in a position to sustain all of that, but because of the man that he was. No one who was playing this game wanted to be the man that took Peyton Manning out of the game because of Peyton's character. His character kept him safe, not his defense. Yes. The man that he was, because these people didn't want to go back out into the world, and everything you've ever heard about this man, even they tried to get him to go against his coach. They tried to get him to exalt himself over his other teammates. He would always humbly give the credit right back to other people. And that's the kind of stuff that I think that when you think about people saying, oh, why you should give up this, you should give up that, those are people that haven't really, really paid attention to the word and how closely it relates to life. Because, you know, we're from the South, and we know that not only from a biblical standpoint, but also from even what it takes to stay alive physically, eating. Everything tastes better when it's simmered a little longer. You know what I mean? Your stew is going to be better the next day. Your spaghetti is better, potato salad, pound cake, the list goes on and on. We know about good eating in the South. So if you want something that's going to be able to sustain the tide and sustain the distance, we know that giving up is not an option. You can't stop in the middle. You know, I don't care if we're eating at 3 o'clock in the morning. We're going to cook it until it's right.
It's not an option.
That's right. Well, we're going to go to a song real quick, and then when we come back, I want to just talk just a little bit. I know you touched a little on the accident, but I just want to touch a little bit on, you know, you were on your way to where your album release party was the next week.
Yeah, it was actually going to be on that Friday, and I had just came from down there doing some performances, and I was going to actually have a 2-week break, you know.
Right. I
said it'll be 2 weeks before I get back down there, but in between time, my uncle passed.
Right on.
And I said, man, now I'm gonna have to go 2 weeks in a row now because I'm going to go to Uncle Leonard's funeral.
Right.
And
well, hold that thought. We're gonna go to a song, but we
that?
are gonna get right into that when we come back. I want to just talk a little bit. I want you to continue that. Okay. Y'all keep it locked to have F100 recording artists. You know what? I see. It's interesting because I keep wanting to say recording artist when I address you, and I know that you are an artist. But everything that I know about you as such a businessman, I always want to give you a bigger title. So we'll be back with Mr. D. Shaw, F100 Music Group, M Life Radio. This is Miss Maker's Take. Keep it locked, and we'll be back. .com. You are rocking with Miss Maker's Take, and we have F100 Music Group recording artist D. Shaw in the building. We were talking briefly before we went to break about the accident that you endured and walked away from in a way that a lot of people were saying that they didn't believe that you would walk away from.
Oh, it's a miracle, you know. It's almost like it was a movie, you know. Right. The whole nine, when the doctors tell you ain't gonna move.
Right.
You know, you never walk again. You never do that. You know, let alone some of the things that's been accomplished since.
Right.
But you know, I don't take credit for any of it because I'm just coasting, and I tell people the only thing I say is different between before and after is the faith.
That's right.
And it hit 100. and
you were like, what do I have to lose anyway?
And F100, that's what it stands for. Right. And that's a movement, and it ain't been turned around yet, you know. So I'm gonna just keep on riding the wave, you know, and we end up where we end up.
Well, I have to ask you this. Was in that time, I know that you speak in your biography about there not being people that were, you know, people the doctors had told you, hey, there's no chance. You know, did you have anybody who came into agreement and said, man, you're going to walk again? Did you have one person to come in agreement with you that you believed that you were going to walk, that believed like you believed that you were going to walk again?
Well, Mecca, to be honest with you, from closest family members, they told me, you know, when you was saying that you was healed and you just had to do your time, you know, we heard you, but we also had to use logic in our eyes and what we saw, you know, and so no one said you not gonna do it, you know,
right. But
no one probably believed that I would be recovered to the way I did, you know. I mean, only thing I can say is it was a miracle, and that they are real, you know. And now at this point, I feel like he just putting his foot in it. He said, "Hey, you're gonna be a showcase."
Right.
And what a showcase! And if people go back and listen to music, I had a single last summer called "Same Things," and I told him, if you think you seen something, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Right on.
You know, and they have it, you know.
Well, you know, I ask you that question for a reason because you have a lot of people, and I think that is the biggest portion of where you see the faith and the black family, you know, having a strong faith walk. When older, you know, our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they were closer to people that had seen a different type of struggle. They had come out of a different level of struggle, life in America for black people. And so as you get older and things get a little bit easier for us, then it's very easy for people to put down their faith. It's very easy because they haven't seen a miracle.
Well, see, I can say, you know, it took that.
Right.
It took me actually being paralyzed, being in that state, for my faith to actually hit 100. You know, I grew up in the church, don't get me wrong. I was raised in the church, and I always believed in the Lord.
Right.
But when I say 100%, you know, once you come back from something like that, it's no more doubting. It's no more questioning. So everything I've ever wanted in life, everything I could possibly dream up, He's given to me.
Right.
You know, and one thing that's been constant, everybody knows me.
Right.
They can tell you it's been music. You know, if you go back from high school to beyond, you know, they can tell you one thing been constant, and it's been music. And so everything else in life, Lord has already blessed me with.
Right.
It's one thing left, and it's just music. Now, like I say, it's steady growing, steady progressing. I'm just riding. I don't even worry about it because I already know.
Right.
I already know what's gonna happen. And we'll look back on these interviews and things like that, and we say, man, he said it.
Right.
But see, that's just going to be another testament of that word we keep talking about, faith.
Right.
Because how can I tell you this now, then it happened? You're going to have to believe me sooner or later.
That's right.
And so,
and revelation always comes before elevation.
yeah, it's not me.
You know, it's going to be all clear and set straight where everybody's position lies, and in the journey of everybody's journey, and everybody has the same level and different levels of process.
Yes.
And it's interesting because even the things that we think are negative things, you know, turn out to be really good things. When we give ourselves that permission to look back on it in that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, unfortunately, you have family members, you have people that are around you, and they will, you know, try and be doubtful because they don't want to be wrong. So it's easier for them to default and go to the thing that's easiest, which is not believing and leaving everything the way that it is, versus saying, hey, you know, I'm going to believe with you that that you're going to walk again, and these people done told you that you are paralyzed for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. See, it even done that.
Right.
It cleaned out all the ones that's real, that's not real. That experience even done that because I saw who were really there for me.
That's right.
I saw what was real and what wasn't real. So afterwards, I said, I'm only going to participate in the things that's real.
Right.
And those who are real.
Right.
Nothing personal, but hey.
Nothing personal.
That's what you got to do.
That's right.
And I noticed since I moved that way, it's been nothing but progression.
Right.
And I say that to say that it's back on that word again, faith. And it's keep on moving. We got the single Play with the Bag. It's doing well. The response been wonderful. It's been well. Like I say, I can't do anything but sit back and humbly say I'm thankful.
Well, I'm thankful that I had an opportunity to get this song and to have this conversation with you. So we're actually going to get into that right now. Play with the Bag, featuring William
Holler.
So we're going to talk about that. Your artists that are currently on the label, people that were previously on the label after this song.
Most definitely.
Yeah, so we're going to get into this D. Shaw, Play with the Bag. This is M Life Radio. Keep it locked. This is Miss Mecca's Take, and we have F100 Music Group recording artist D. Shaw in the building.
Yep.
That was Play with the Bag, featuring William Holler. So William Holler, he's not an artist, F100 Music Group artist.
He's not on F100. Will is actually down with Crystal City. They out of Fort Worth. The producer of the song, Boski. Like I told you, when I got to Dallas, I started, going to different studios and kept trying to work on my craft and record and different things. And he was one of the people I met way back towards the beginning of my time here in Dallas.
Okay.
And so, we hang out. So from time to time, I stop by their place and we holler at each other. And we happen to be there. He playing some of his music. And something that him and Will and Run It Be Real, they was working on. And I said, man, what's that? And he said, that's something we working on. And I said, oh man, that sound good. And it started from there. I brought myself to it, and the end result is what you heard, And like I say, it felt good. It feels good, and a fun song, and we ran with it.
That's awesome. Well, shout out to you again for bringing that good energy to Dallas, because I think that the more people that make those strides to be people that do good business, and encourage that, that's really the aura of success that we're really getting credit for. I mean, honestly, when you think about, God and talking about the parable of the 10 talents and the talents that he gave out and how upset he was when this one guy didn't do anything with his talent at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Because to me, it wasn't just about showing up with stuff, but it was the fact that he knows that the way that this world is that you're more influential. And if you're his people and you happen to make it to a level where you're influential and you have his message and his way of doing things to share with people, then you can be a positive influence. Like I said, I was in Colorado this past weekend, and I ended up staying away because I don't really care for crowds. I don't have a whole lot of money, but thankfully I've kind of mastered working in hospitality for so many years. I've mastered which way to go and really how to stay if you want to be secluded but still do it, on a budget. And so I ended up in a hotel up in the mountains in Colorado, and went down to breakfast. They hosted a new free breakfast downstairs at the hotel, and there was one young lady that came, and she was with her boyfriend or some guy, but she had her pajamas on. She had her pajamas on, she had her house shoes on, and she had everything she slept in, she had it on in breakfast. Well, everybody else at breakfast was fully dressed.
Yeah.
So I just looked up at her. I didn't say anything, and I didn't look at her in a mean way, but I just looked at her. And then she looked at the way that I was dressed and the way that the people were interacting with me. And the next thing you know, the guy was sitting at the table by himself. And I looked around. I didn't see her anymore. She emerged maybe like 5 or 10 minutes later, fully dressed, with her hair combed. And I just thank God. It didn't have to be a negative, it didn't have to be anything negative between us. It didn't have to be me saying something to hurt her feelings or doing something to try to make myself look good. I just got up and got dressed and came into the environment as a lady. And with me and her being the only 2 black women in there, when she looked up and saw me, she was like, wait a minute, I don't need to be down here in my pajamas. And that's the kind of positive energy that I'm talking about that the industry and that Dallas, Texas needs, in my opinion. Because yes, and I don't care what anybody says, it makes a big difference, because the things that you gain and the level of respect that you gain by conducting yourself in a manner that shows that you respect others, it's contagious. Not only does it bless you, because God don't have no problem promoting that kind of behavior, because that's what he wants, to be brought to the light. He wants people to know that way works. So we were talking about, you were saying that you made connections and you talked to people, and that I know that's still on the F100 Music Group website. You still have artist Joe Smith materials and videos. So at one time you all had a very close relationship where, I would pretty much see you all at the same events and promoting the same things, and then it just seems like that, it wasn't anything that was broadcasted that was negative. I don't get a negative vibe from him. I still follow him on social networks or from you, but it just seems like that it kind of dissipated. What happened with that relationship?
Well, that old saying, never bite the hand that feeds you.
Right.
Well, I don't get bit. If you growl or show your teeth, that's all you have to do, And so, like I say, and they say action speaks louder than words. His action said that he wanted to go in a different direction, and I obliged him. For when I say obliged, I mean I didn't fight it, and I stopped putting myself in it. That's the only thing that's different.
Right. I'm
not in it. I stopped putting my energies, my focus, my funds, my resources into it, and F100 kept moving. Right. So I wish him well. I wish him the best. I'm pretty sure he's still doing his thing. He's gonna do his thing. But like I say, we doing a different, going in a different direction. We're gonna continue what we were doing before. Right. Before he came in. And that's do music. Right. And continue to do whatever it takes to continue to progress. And that's all you can do. It's sad and unfortunate, because like I say, a lot of good things I think could have been done. Right. But I think once a person starts looking at all the things that's been accomplished, you start feeling that the talent is what's making those moves. Right. And then you hear people have a whole lot more opinions when they didn't have one before. Right. And you can get pulled in different directions. And I think that's what happened, and action speaks louder than words, and I'm not a first strike type of guy, what I'm saying? Okay. I'm not even a 2-strike type of guy. Right. And most people tell you, I'll give you 9. I'm
that person too.
But it's certain things, though, that lets you know from your previous experiences in life and your learnings and your teachings, right, that tells you when you see certain things, you go the other way. Right. And that's all that happened. I'm pretty sure he's going to continue doing what he's doing and keep grinding. If I was him, I would too. Right. Like I say, the only thing that is different is I stopped focusing on what I was focusing on, which was him at the time. like I say, it's a lot of relationships and things like that was made in those times, and those relationships steady, going forward. They're still moving forward because the things we were doing never stopped. In business, you'll find that, and especially when you're dealing with labels, artists they come and go. They're parts of a machine, and the machine parts are interchangeable, but the machine are constant,
Right.
So that's all it is, At that time, we was only left with one artist. That was D. Shaw, So what do you do? Move forward,
You have to keep moving.
But D. Shaw won't be the last artist, But there was also things I learned that the next artist, I would do things a little differently, as well,
Yeah.
So it was all a learning experience, and it was a learning experience for everyone.
Right.
But I guarantee you that no one could say anything negative.
Right.
It was nothing but positive, and the energy I was giving out, like I say, it's rare that you find someone that put that type of energy into something,
Right.
and that's what I done because obviously if I didn't believe in the talent and that type of thing, I wouldn't have put those type of energies into it.
Right.
So and obviously you want to win when you put energies into things, and so I'm not gonna put myself in a position to lose. So if I stop putting energy into something, you got to say, well, hey, it must have been something he saw
Right.
that he didn't need to move forward on.
Right.
And that's what happened. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people wonder because it was tremendous strides being made.
Right.
And they were tremendous strides being made. But the talent didn't make a lot of strides.
Right.
So that's pretty much what happened.
And I think sometimes I know that my experience has been with moving around and working with different people, in different areas of even what I'm doing right now. And I was really reluctant even to get started, in building my own station because I didn't want to be like, you used to go down, what is that street in Dallas? I think it's Ann Arbor, I believe. You got like 35 different churches and all of them got like 2 or 3 people in it. And I used to like say, why don't all these people get together, instead of having all these separate buildings, get together so they can be a more powerful force and make some better strides in the community. But I always thought, well, it was just somebody who didn't want to go along with the agenda. But it's ironic that I closely related that to that, which I didn't agree with, because I felt like that, people have to be willing to submit to authority. You have to be willing to work within the rules so that you can operate properly. It's just like our car out there, if you have if your car sit on 19-inch tires and then you go get a 15-inch tire, then your car is going to roll, but what kind of ride is it going to be? And then people don't understand, people that are operating in faith and have seen different things happen for them that they know was nobody but God. Once you develop that relationship with God, my experience and why I had to break away from some things that I was a part of was because what people didn't realize, although I want the relationship between you and I to remain peaceful, and I really do wish you all the best, I still have to face God, who I'm believing for everything in my life that I ever dreamed of. So to make you happy and to try to accommodate what you have going on, I can't go before him. You know what I mean? With everything that I know that he knows, he's given me the wisdom to be able to see. Because while he won't ask you for anything that he didn't put in your hand, the stuff that is placed in your hand, he's expecting for you to do something with it.
And at the end of the day, you're not going to have no more or no less than what he wants you to have.
That's right.
And it's going to happen exactly how it's supposed to happen. Now, a lot of people might not say, well, hey, I don't like the way they happen, but we don't have control of over those things. And like I say, those experiences, just like one of those experiences that I had in my youth, in California.
Right.
We call them experiences and lessons, and hopefully you can build and learn upon those lessons and move forward.
Right. Well, we're going to take another quick music break, but when we come back, I want to talk to you about how me, from being a native Texan, how I view talent in Louisiana and talent opportunities in Louisiana versus what your experience has been in Texas versus Louisiana. So we're going to get into one of my favorite Texas artists, rest in peace to Pimp C. I used to think I was Pimp C Jr. when I was younger. Shout out to him and rest in peace. We're going to get into this UGK. The game's been good to me. This is Miss Make Us Take M Live Radio. We'll be back. Keep it locked. To everybody who is tuned in and rocking with us. Still hanging out is F100 Music Group recording artist D. Shaw, who is now a Dallas resident, and actually running your label from Dallas, Texas. So when I think about talent in Dallas, Texas, I think about Erykah Badu, Charlie Pride, and I don't really know who else. I know we had a couple people like maybe out of Fort Worth or whatever, Tevin Campbell down in Waco. And forgive me if I'm leaving anybody out. Well, we had the DOC. Shout out to the DOC. He did a lot of his work in California. So I wanted to ask you because to me, from being a Texas native, I'm crazy about the sound and the music appreciation in Louisiana. And so it's interesting that you would make Dallas, Texas, your home, and this is where you would choose to build a music label. What brought that on, and what made you feel Dallas?
Well, Dallas, for its just life, had a whole lot more opportunity, for its, economic wise, and things like that. I mean, like where I'm from, it's country, so you gonna do one of a few things, and if those are occupied, it's nothing left, so it's a lot of what they call have-nots, so it's have-nots everywhere, but the things that out here in Dallas are a lot of corporation, a lot of jobs, things like that. That's what drives people to leave places like Louisiana. If it was economically sound, I may have not landed here in Dallas, but chasing music, going to school, working, and getting established in Dallas, it just became a second home, musically wise, I think Dallas and Louisiana artists, there's a lot of similarities, but I think the only difference is what they're influenced by. If you're in Louisiana, you're going to hear a lot more down south, Baton Rouge, New Orleans music and a lot of different things. So when you listen to the radio and different things, so if you was a producer and you're living there and you been listening to that, I mean, so your influence may be of that, or it may have some of that influence in it, If you're here and you listen to the programming they got going on at their stations, and you listening what the artists and the producers doing around here, some of that'll start bleeding into you as well, So I think if you take a Texas artist and you put him in Louisiana for a period of time, you'll think he was a Louisiana artist because he'll start getting that influence and the production and the different producers and the other artists he's working with, and vice versa. So I think that's the main difference, just location, because no matter where you're from, if you have the talent, you're going to have it,
And what I like to say is the same God that's keeping you wherever you at, He's the same one that can keep you where you're going. It just seems like to me that Dallas is more of a uphill battle sometimes, because my experience with a lot of people in Dallas, I've had some very good experiences in Dallas, but the majority of them, if I was to be being completely honest, weren't necessarily pleasant because I wasn't a part of the clique. I wasn't a part of this group of people that are like already famous in Dallas, but I don't really know them, but they're actually famous because they're famous within their group, and certain people that are in their same circles, they know the pulls and the connections that they have, they know where they live and what they drive, and I don't know any of this about you, so I'm just treating you with simple kindness like I do with everybody else. But honestly, my main reason for still being in Dallas, well, number one, we're nationwide right now, so shout out to everybody all over the world, but my son, I have a son that's in school. My son has made some amazing strides, and he's the president of the student council, president of a lot of different organizations. He started in school, looking forward to an academic scholarship. So I just thought to myself, okay, God, you let me feel so much love when I go other places. Like, to be honest with you, it's interesting that you mentioned New Orleans. in New Orleans, I feel like a different lady.
Yeah.
I really do. I love the city of New Orleans, and it's like I feel prettier there. I feel like like Beyonce or somebody because people treat you respectfully. It's like men seem to be more, and I don't know if they can just tell I'm from somewhere else because I was talking to another lady from New Orleans and she was like, "Well, you get that. I've been here all my life. I don't get that." But I'm like, it's the same way for me in Dallas. You don't hear, and a lot of the people that I've connected with on Instagram, they are people that are from other places, and I have like deliberately tried to separate my life from like Facebook and Instagram because I like interacting with people. And even Jesus said, where's a prophet without honor, in his own town, because people think that they know too much about you, or even if they're not doing anything, they think that what you're doing, it's supposed to be theirs. I've never been able to wrap my mind around it, but I've always said that Dallas could really, really use, someone making it from here and just really, really making it, but being a person because since they tend to be a little bit cliquish around here and they tend to gravitate to the people that they feel like can take them somewhere, that if a good person, would have put in the work and to just stay around here and be successful in these parts, that I think that we may see a little bit of change in the climate, in the atmosphere of entertainment around here. Because, I mean, bless you. I really, really hope that everything continues to go well for you. I really enjoy this song. All of your music that you've sent me and the artists and the music that's playing on your website, it's all really, really interestingly relative to life. But it's a life that only certain people know. It's good Southern living. So I did want to ask you a little bit about that. So Play with the Bag. What was the inspiration for that song?
The inspiration was, boy, just have something fun. We wanted something that young as well as old could feel.
Right.
Men as well as women. It's something that hip hop and R&B. Something for that a lot of people can just enjoy. And bring some of the I guess what they call older R&B to some of this newer. And kind of combined it, and that's what we came up with, and it's an interesting sound. One thing about it is when you hear it, you're gonna know you heard it.
Right. Well, I was talking to another friend of mine who does hip hop. He lives here from Chicago, and he moved here and kind of with the same idea, doing his music thing here. And so I was talking to him because he had a song that I was listening to. He sent me some music, and he was talking about this woman, in the song. And he was talking about how she was this, she was so this, she was so that. And I was like, wow. I said, where is this lady? Are y'all going to get married or whatever? He was like, that's not a real person. And I said, that's not a real person. He said, no, that's not a real person. That's just somebody. So I'm wondering, like, how many times, as an artist, do you talk about things that are actual versus things that are like it's more wishful thinking? Is that something that you just like when you say you're going in to have some fun? It's just a have fun song.
Well, different things inspire different emotions. Some songs come from more personal standpoints. A lot of time in my personal writings, a lot of it comes from personal standpoints. But I had to learn to get out of that box as well. Right. Sometimes you have to think of, say, hey, what do people like? What do they enjoy? They want to have a good time, or do you want to make them think?
Right.
Do you want to make them sad? Do you want to make them happy? So a lot of different thoughts come into it, and when you develop the concept, and once you get that concept, then it builds up off that. Now that's just in that instance. Right. It may be another instance. You listen to something and something's on your mind. And it's just expression, and it comes off, and then you say, "Oh, that's real personal," but you just getting it off your chest. So that's one of the things about music that's wonderful, and one thing that I love about it, to be able to take something from your mind and to put it into the atmosphere, and then to sit back and listen to that. That's what I fell in love with. All this other stuff. I never knew that when I fell in love with her. When I say her, I mean music. When I fell in love with it, I never knew so many other people loved it.
Right.
I never knew it was such a business behind it. I never knew it was politics behind it. I didn't know any of that. I just knew that I loved it. Right. And I want to do it on the highest level. you know, and to be a professional. And that's what I saw out there. I didn't have anybody to teach me how, you know. Think about it, you know. When I went to California, you know, this is a country boy from Ashton, Louisiana, population now less than 10,000 people, and I was 17 in LA.
Wow.
You know, who does that, you know?
Right.
I tell you who. The good Lord.
Amen.
All of it it's like a movie. You know, you can't have the middle without the beginning. You can't have the end without the middle.
That's right.
It all flows, you know. So I figure right now we somewhere in the middle.
Right? Somewhere in the middle. That's right.
Somewhere in the middle.
And moving closer and closer
to the end.
That's
yes.
right. So I think that that's amazing. And like I said, I applaud you for doing music in Dallas, for sticking with your music, period. You know, just, you feel free to take that off.
No, you're
try to decorate a little bit. But so how is now? Like now, life now versus life like prior to the accident. We mentioned a support system and people who were believing for you to get on your feet. Now that you're on your feet, what is your support system like? Is there a significant other? Are there kids?
Yes. I have a wonderful wife. I have beautiful kids. I have a wonderful support period. I'm still blessed to have both my parents.
That's wonderful.
I talk to my father almost on the daily. So the support outside of immediate family and stuff like that, it's really the support comes from all above.
Right.
And I learned that that's all that I need, you know. And I cut a lot of that excess out. And I noticed, hey, it seems like this feather flies a little higher now. You know, I can float.
Right.
You know, no matter how bad you want to float, you got them weights on you, you going down.
Right.
You know, so life has been real well, you know. And like I say, Play with the Bag has been getting a wonderful response. We working on putting the band together. We getting ready this summer go on the road. And the different markets for us, radio markets, is steady expanding. We finna get ready to shoot videos. The single just came out on iTunes and all the other digital outlets last week. So I have an album coming sometime this year.
This is a part of the album. So
It is gonna be part of the album. The name of the album is 7 Convalescents. And for those who don't know, convalescence is the time of recovering, healing. And 7 represents the 7 years I've been in healing and recovering. But now we here, and we gonna put out music and do what we do until we leave here, because it's part of me, you know. So as long as I'm here, it's always gonna be some new R&B, whether the world hears it or whether 10,000 people hear it or 100,000 people. Well, regardless, somebody gonna hear it. I can't take it with me. I'm gonna leave it here.
And you know, 7 actually also represents the number of completion. 7 in the kingdom represents the number of completion, and right now we're in a very interesting time because 2018 ends in 8. 8 in the kingdom represents new beginnings. So this is an awesome time, you know, for everybody. I think that it's not just the weather that is amazingly seeming like it's out of season right now, but it's actually a good time, you know, for things to start. Yeah,
and tell you an interesting story, you know. I mean, how you say, well, why you come with that name? And you think, well, oh, because of what he been through. But actually, I was coming out one day, coming out to get some food, and I walked out, and the Lord said, 7 convalescents. And convalescence, that's not a word that I typically use in my vocabulary.
Right.
So I said, hey, I don't even know what that means. Let me look it up.
Right on.
And when I looked it up, I was shocked, because that was the time to recover, heal. So like I say, it's crazy when you think about His grace, His mercy. And once you bow down and lay down and let Him run it, let Him drive, you'll be surprised at what He will do.
That's right.
So I leave people with that, man, because I can't say enough about Him and F100, because faith is on 100. So everybody should be F100 member.
That's right. We figure out a way to get to it.
Yeah.
I read something earlier. They were doing a poll on, I believe it was Instagram or Facebook, and somebody had, what would you prefer to have, peace or stability? and or somebody else, or commitment. Yeah, it was commitment, stability, or peace. Which one would you prefer? And I chose peace. I said, I've learned in my own life that the more peaceful I am, everything else is going to follow up under that. But I'm not going to compromise my peace to try to create stability, because you'll never get it. And I'm not going to compromise my peace to try to create companionship, because it'll never be a relationship that you'll be able to be happy in. But if you approach it with peace, knowing that you get out of things what you put into it, my experience has been you gain way more, on the back end, just by being peaceful and accepting where you are is where you're supposed to be. Everything that's going to come to you is going to be your opportunity to make that a little bit stronger. So I'm sending all of the well wishes that I can conjure up in the world to you and everything that you have going on, because I think that it's amazing that you are still at it, and that you are still your faith seems to be now just the same as it has always been, approaching it with that the sky is the limit, that anything can happen any day.
Yeah, like I say, there's no more proving after he brought me from what he brought me through. I mean, what he can't do. Right. So this music thing, that's nothing. Right. That's a drop in the bucket for him, but you have to believe. That's the main thing. So like I say, my main thing is just doing what I love to do and keeping him first, family, then myself, and we'll keep it moving like that.
That's right. Well, you keep the right things at the top, then everything that trickles down from that can be only good. It only all trickles down and turns into something that's the very best that it can be. So I'm grateful for that, and that is another reason why I'm rooting for your success, because more people need to, I think that we have that, if we get more people to thinking on that level, then we'll eliminate a lot of the things that we're dealing with, that people are standing there acting like, a coconut just hit them on the head, what do we do? Well, you get back to love. You get back to respecting your fellow man. You get back to focusing on what it is you feel like that you were created to do. And guess what? Before you know it, it's time to take the shower and go to bed, because the sun is going down. So we're going to wrap up as we get ready. We're going to take another quick music break, but when we come back, I want to talk about a little bit more about the album that's in process right now, and also what's next for F100 Music Group. Okay. Y'all keep it locked. We'll be back. On and rocked with us the entire interview. We are getting ready to wrap it up. I want to thank you, D. Shaw, for coming through today.
No problem.
F100 Music Group, Faith on 100. So you mentioned that there was an album.
Yeah, album, 7 Convalescents. We don't have a set date, but it's going to be sometime this year.
Awesome.
In the fall.
Right. Any Dallas people you thinking about? You don't have to name any names, but any Dallas people you kind of citing to be featured on there? You doing work with Dallas people?
We actually gonna have maybe a few people. Out of Fort Worth, and maybe one out of Dallas. But other than that, it's just gonna be just straight, R&B. You know what I'm saying? But when I say R&B, it's gonna be a different sound, because I think that's what R&B needs. It needs a different sound. Can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
That's right.
We gotta take some of the market share back. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm very excited for you. I'm very excited to have you for one of my first in-studio guests. I've done some interviews over the phone. This is my first in-studio guest. I want to thank you so much for coming through today, and for everything and the good energy and the hope and inspiration that you brought with you. You can definitely always count on us here at M Life Radio. Anything that you need to debut, any artists that you want interviewed, or any music you want put in rotation, Play with the Bag will be available on mliferadio.com. So whenever the song plays, they will be able to go to your iTunes link and purchase the song. So, if you know music, you did enjoy the song. So everybody go to iTunes, go to mliferadio.com, go to f100musicgroup.com, and make sure that you support them so that we can have something. Wherever you are, you can still plant a seed. Isn't that beautiful? You can plant a seed from wherever you are. You don't have to be in Dallas. If you have something that you believe in, and hopefully that you do, or someone that you believe in to be successful, especially in this entertainment world, any opportunity that you have to sow into someone else and to show love, then make sure that you take every opportunity to capitalize on that. And in this case, I think it cost me $1 to buy the song.
Yeah.
$1 is a low price for you to sow into something that's going to be very magical. I'm
Most
grateful to be in your chronology of events as you lead up to this awesome story.
And I appreciate all the love, and like I say, anytime.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of here.